We have one question from the early beginning. Maybe we can ask this here. It was from David, who wrote.
Yes, of course, Thomas. I think it's a proper time to start our discussion time. Yes, it's we have about, I think, 1 hour for discussion, and I think we have a lot of discuss. And Thomas will start with the question of David. Yes, in the beginning of our
maybe David raised 2 questions. The one was concerning bleaching of berries by ultraviolet radiation. If somebody observed this, I already answered here around Berlin area. I by myself see if you have very sunny summertime with clear sky and no clouds, then you can easily see what is south and north in the area by comparing the color of the berry. Yes, the side of the berry that is to the south is bleached. It's more light, the yellow, and the north side is more to orange. Yes, we also observe this, and I think it's a natural process by ultraviolet radiation to carotenoids, and only indicates that climate or weather condition in this time are different.
Yes, Thomas, I agree with you, but I think that it's absolutely because of sunshine here in Russia. We also can figure out that some, especially red-colored varieties, change their color from red to orange and even yellow. But it's not all of varieties actually. Most of yellow, most of orange-colored varieties never bleaching. But of course, it depends on the variety. It's a well-known situation. Then carotenoids are destroyed under ultraviolet, under the sun shining, and that is the reason that red-colored varieties became yellow or orange colored. So it's usual for our region.
Yes, I remember that I read many years ago published results from Russian scientists in the 30s and 40s who made experiments in Altai region with different altitude and compared carotenoid content. And as I remember, it shows that as higher the altitude, as more carotenoids are produced inside the berries, but also bleached out over the time. Yes, but I find this old presentation, but by remembrance. Yes.
If I could just add, I mean, these berries were literally 50-50, bright yellow on one side, orange on the other. And it's just customers say, what is all this about? You know, it's
yes,
not a big issue.
Look, the berries in my village, David, exactly. Yellow, orange, half and half. Yeah?
So, okay, colleagues, I think that it was very, very interesting presentations, and we have had a really good discussion of this presentation. But of course, we have a lot of participants from all around the world, I say 16 countries, and we are really interested in brief introduction, maybe brief information regarding Sipaxone in the regions. And if you don't mind, I would like to start from France, from a good friend of mine, Philip. Maybe you will tell us about situation with Sipaxone in France. Only 2-3 minutes. Small introduction.
Of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Philippe. So in France, the situation with Sipaxone is at its early stage. I see that it's still quite complicated to to inform farmers about the fruit. Some people enjoy the fruit. Some people have a different opinion about the taste of the fruit. I think the two principal Ciboxone that we have in France is Rhamnoides and Fluviatilis. Fluviatilis would grow more on the Alps, on the mountain sides. And for my part, I live in the west, so on the west shore, on the west coast, there is a presence of Ciboxone from, I know German seaside to Belgium seaside. So the biggest population I've seen in the wild for now is located at next to Belgium. And there is enormous populations, wild populations. We just came back last week from this trip. So I've seen quite productive wild subjects. Usually the wild subjects, they don't produce so much, but in this place, the very large population could produce some very interesting, very productive wild population. But for now, I'm collecting as many varieties to test, to see which one does better with birds, with various insects. I mostly have problem of insects is more of Sesamia, which is a small night butterfly. So it's more the type of pest that I've observed for now, and voila, pretty much. So I'm learning from all of you because I'm a beginner, a very, very beginner. But from this stage, I've been searching for mostly wild Ciboxone and collecting some cultivar to observe, of course. Voilà. I hope didn't take too long.
Yes, thank you, Philip, for your short introduction of situation in France. Maybe colleagues, you have some question to Philip because he's in the beginning of the history of Ciboxone in France. Yes.
Of course.
Okay. If not, I would. Oh, David, you have.
This is almost a comment between yourself, Yuri, and Nikos. In Greece, if they are finding that their pollination is in February and ours is in March, and we have this big problem with basically the wind, bloody wind blows the pollen into the next field. Your fields in Greece, do you have a lot of trees around them? How do you have a problem? How do I have a problem and you don't?
You mean for my part or for Nikos?
This was for Nikos, really. For his,
yeah, okay.
If pollination in Greece is in February, is your weather in February still good?
Okay. Usually, David, at the end of the February in Greece, temperature and conditions is not so problematic in order to have the blossom there, this period. But even we have some even snows or things like that, maybe we have a delay, but no problem with the plants. Actually, our problems this year was huge because we had extremely catastrophic period for all over Greece. We started with a flood during September last year. We had the frost during spring, during April, a frost that had let's say 15 years to appear in Greece. And after that, we have hail and things like that. So production in Thessaly is zero right now. But usually, weather conditions, it's not like that. So we do not have problem for blossoming end of February.
Here.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. And if you don't mind, I will give a couple of words to a good friend of mine, Michael from Czech Republic. Yes, we contacted with him for several years, and I know he has some results on Suboxone, and maybe you will provide us with short, brief information regarding varieties and regarding Suboxone in Czech Republic.
Yeah, hello everybody again. And there are some 200 hectares of Suboxone planted in the Czech Republic, but it's just an estimation because we have no accurate data on this. There are no big Suboxone processing companies here, rather local family farms working on smaller fields, and some Suboxone fruit is also imported from other countries to the Czech Republic. I think most of it comes from Latvia, but again, I have no accurate data on this. It's just information from my Suboxone friend growers and farmers from some farms. Mostly the processing farms or companies are mostly using German varieties for the production. For example, Lejkora. Botanická Ljubiteľská is also being very popular in the last years because of its very high productivity, and it's also easy to pick the berries from this variety. The sweeter Russian or Siberian varieties are not used commercially, but these varieties are being tested by home gardeners because of the great flavor. But the production of these varieties is quite low compared to the German varieties. It can be just let's say 2 or 3 kilograms per plant, but during some years the production can be much better. For example, this year was very rainy in the Czech Republic, and the berries were really big, and also these Siberian varieties were very productive and very tasty. If you have any questions, I can try to answer it.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. And colleagues, do you have any question to our Czech colleagues? Okay, thank you. Thank you. It's very interesting. And I see our colleagues from Canada, I think early morning over there, yes, approximately 4 or 5 a.m. and it's time to go to bed. Maybe it's a good time to tell us briefly about situation with the Suboxone in Canada. Of course, I asked a good friend of mine, Andrei, to tell me about this. Andrei Nicole, but he say, oh, not this time. That is why, Betty, the floor is yours. Switch on your mic, please. No. Once again. Oh my God. Oh my God. Andrei, I think you will tell us briefly, okay?
Do you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Not so good, but
Yeah. I cannot give you any news from Canada, but maybe what's the pattern? Just a moment. Maybe Betterford could give you the news from the West Canada. I thank you very much, but my English is too poor to give you more. Sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry, Andrea. Okay. In any case, maybe next time we will know a little bit from Canada. Okay, colleagues, let me see. Okay, I have one question to all of you. As you know, we have one new person from South Africa. Yes, from South Africa. Hugo Kodzi from Vescus Wismill and Products from South Africa. Yes, and he's a new person in our community. And at the moment, we are looking for some tests, for some estimation how Suboxone varieties will be grown in South Hemisphere. And maybe someone of you have some experience in this issue. If you have, please share with us your experience.
Good day, and thank you for sharing all this information with me as a new entrant. I hope you can hear me. And yeah, from outside, we don't know Seebuckthorn in Southern Africa, and we would like to know more about Seebuckthorn. So I've acquired some new plants. I've planted them, and this is the end of our winter. And I planted them a month ago or so, and they're busy sprouting, and they look very happy here. I've also planted some cuttings and got some seeds. And yeah, I've also got a lot of questions because I know they bind nitrogen, and we've got legumes that bind nitrogen with Rhizobium bacteria. But I want to know, must I inoculate these seeds so that I can get them to bind nitrogen, or will they get the bacteria from the soil so that they can bind nitrogen?
Okay, it was such a question, yes? It was such a question. Or should we discuss this? Because it's a little bit...
Please. Should I inoculate these seeds that I planted with a certain bacteria strain so that they can bind the nitrogen, or do you think it will be sufficient just to plant them in the soil and they will automatically make root nodules and begin to bind nitrogen?
Okay, Hugo, according to my experience, for Suboxone, it's not strictly recommended to add some nitrogen or some bacteria to root system. It's by yourself, but root noodles which on the roots collecting nitrogen from air, and by this method developing even in sand soil. But maybe someone have another opinion, colleagues.
We did here some experiments and checked the content of actinomycetes in our ground, our earth here, without any Suboxone, only to understand if they are there or not. And in my opinion, from my experience, it makes no sense to inoculate with actinomycetes because they are gregarious and everywhere found. But maybe in different areas of the world can be different. Yes, I do not know this exactly. But here for German region, not necessary to care about this. I remember that I read in the book from Virendra Singh that he recommended to take earth from old plantation and to spread over new plantation to bring this microorganisms in higher concentration.
Yes, but according to my experience, Thomas, it's not recommended because in this soil we have a lot of Fusarium and Verticillium.
This is
Oh,
another
yes.
problem, yes.
Yes, it's another problem. Okay, colleagues, and I think maybe a good friend of us, all of us, David Eagle from Great Britain, provide us with short information about Suboxone in Great Britain. Only brief, because I know you can tell us in 20 minutes.
20 minutes, my goodness me. You'll be bored to tears by then. I think that the two things about growing sea buckthorn is the same with all farming, is that you find out one new thing every year and you learn, and that's probably by a mistake. We currently, I don't think we really have a disease. We don't have sea buckthorn fly. Like lots of people, we have birds as a problem, specifically jackdaws. And I probably shouldn't say this, but because this is a fixed community, and of course you're not going to tell anybody else, I had a local wildfowler, somebody who shoots ducks, came to me this year and said, I have a freezer full of jackdaws that I've shot. Put some up. And I said, this is wives' tales. This is old fashioned stuff. I said, no, go on, off you go. He gave me 4, and this is for Andre's 800 plants. So it's not a big plot, but it's a smallish plot. So I hung up 2 birds on either side. We have a flock of about 200 to 300 jackdaws who have a capacity to strip those 800 plants easily. The birds went up, and without a word of a lie, those 4 dead jackdaws hanging on a string about 8 foot off the ground, and I haven't seen a jackdaw since. And it's a mystery, and I do not understand it, but it has cured the problem. So if we could do the same thing with sea buckthorn fly, that would be wonderful. But I think hanging up sea buckthorn fly by their legs is not an easy thing. So I think our principal problem in the UK has been marketing. That really comes down to the fact that people have never heard of sea buckthorn, even though it grows wild here. And last year was the first year that we actually sold out all our sea buckthorn. Only a ton, but it all went. And that was a real mark of saying there is interest. I think it's also possibly pertinent to say that the COVID year has helped. Everybody is a lot more health conscious. And I see that as being a market growth. People seem to be more interested in tea, in a whole range of sea buckthorn, whether that's oil, leaf, or berry. Purely from a matter of personal experience, the other thing which has held us back, of course, is harvesting and processing. My processing facility, I wouldn't like to tell you how primitive it's been, but effectively it's been a big grey box and a vacuum cleaner. And if I can clean 2.5 kilos an hour doing that, it drives me nuts. But it kept the market going. And now I have a little conveyor which will do 20 kilos an hour, which for the £3,500, I suppose, we put into developing it, is doing the job, and it's actually revolutionized where I am now. In terms of varieties, I've got 4 finish, which we picked last year, very few berries, but as far as it's a specialist market going into Scandinavian restaurants in London, they love it. German plants, I'm getting to know by experience those that I can kill by branch cutting. And certainly Hergo didn't appreciate it, Durana didn't appreciate it, Frugana didn't appreciate it. I still rely very heavily on Sorolla is very good in the market, Habago very good in the market, Licora, and Ascola to some degree, but I see Ascola as a processing variety. Our Russian plants, I desperately want to see actually come to fruition. The reason why I believe we can do it is because, as I think I said before, in 2017, the whole field was absolutely laden with bright orange with berries. We didn't have a means of harvesting it. 2018, we had what we call the beats from the east, so we didn't have any pollination. 2019, we had wind. We've had pollination problems ever since. So I'm changing how Yuri has sent me over 4,000 plants, and I'm planting those in much tighter rows. So I'm going down to 2.8 meter row width and 1 meter plant width on the basis of growing much heavier density so that I can afford to put a bird net over the top, and that might well be an insect net, not a bird net, because if I can afford to put up a net, then if we ever have problems with sea buckthorn fly, then maybe the insect net is a better approach. Don't irrigate, but climate change, I think, is an issue. Therefore, like Nikos, I think I've got to start thinking about irrigation for the future. So within this planting, I'm putting tubes in with every plant, which go down about 18 inches. It's actually a lot of old water pipe that I had lying around, so I'm cutting it up into lengths and planting it with every plant. And I am hoping that this tight planting will help with the wind pollination, because I'm growing them in blocks of 25 meters. So at every 25 meters, I'm putting up rows of alder trees as a windbreak. So that hopefully will help the pollination. The bird problem isn't an issue anymore. So I'm hoping that I actually can now grow Russian plants. Then comes down to how am I going to harvest them? I would love to think that I could use a side knife hedge cutter, run down the lines and take off, but only doing certain rows every year. Growing these plants very much growing them on wires in the same way as a lot of people now are growing apple trees, growing them vertically. So by growing them on wires and allowing the lateral branches to come out a small amount, just taking those lateral branches off with a side knife, maybe that works. The alternative is it doesn't work and I try again. That I think is about my chaos from the UK.
Okay, David, thank you. Thank you. And colleagues, as you know, Italy is quite new region for sea buckthorn, and I would like to ask Stefano to tell us in brief about situation with sea buckthorn in Italy. We are very keen to know about this. Please inform us.
So thank you for question. We are very new in this business. Let's say this. I don't know if it will be really a business, because for us is the first year. We are testing different varieties coming from Romania and other parts of the world, and many of those are not registered yet. And we are expecting this year just 20, maybe 30 tons of fruits. And so for us, it's the first experience. And at the moment, we are pretty happy about the varieties we are harvesting this year. They are coming from Romania, so I'm sorry, I could say much more next year, because now for us it's really the first time.
Okay, thank you, my friend. Thank you, Stefano, for your information. And colleagues, I think we should summarize our meeting, but maybe someone of you would like to tell something, or maybe to ask something. Feel free to do this right now.
Yuri, if you agree, give me 2 minutes. I would like to share something.
Of course, Thomas.
Okay,
Even 5.
Then I hope that you can see this EuroWorks online screen. Do you see?
Not yet. Colleagues, do you see? Only black screen, yeah? Thomas, only black screen.
Only black screen. This is not good. Do you see
Okay.
now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I only like to show you. We have this internet site, and because the question was given, if you go to Archive, where all the results are seen there, you can scroll down and you can get all presentation of the last meeting, and if the presenter gave us a PowerPoint or something like this, you also can download this for your purposes. And I will add from today, from the second workshop, also the video documents as well as the presentation if they are giving to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Thomas. Yes, it's very convenient platform for all of us, and it's 100% of Thomas' team activity. Thank you very much. And the colleagues, I think it's time to summarize our beautiful meeting. Yes, what do you think? It's time. Yes, and I think that I will ask and give the floor to Andres Bruvelis to summarize today's event. Andres, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Yuri. Dear colleagues, I believe we learned new ideas from each other, which we could adopt to further improvement of our work. Ladies and gentlemen, knowledge, yes, but knowledge for action. The greatest value of our meetings is that research and insights can be put into practice, actually. Today, our attention has been focused on the introduction of sea buckthorn varieties out of their native place. And there are three main objectives, to my mind, of the plant introduction. The first one is increasing of the quantity and the quality of the yield. The second one is enriching the gene bank collection. And the third one is obtaining new sources of resistance against both biotic and abiotic stress. Today we have learned that sea buckthorn is a subject to both primary introduction, when a new variety is well suited for the new environment and no alteration of genotype is needed. And the secondary introduction, when the introduced variety is subjected to selection or used in, let's say, hybridization program with local varieties. So there are two different, actually, ways of issues of introduction of varieties. Please let me give you a short overview of all presentations we listened today. Yuri presented us a range of fantastic new varieties and perspective hybrids. Beyond doubt, it's a worldwide golden stock for hybridization for the rest of the world. I'm sure they are the best in the world. So far, any breeder all over the world has tried to cross the native sea buckthorn with Russian varieties with a large size and good content of berries. From Natalia's presentation, we learned that introduction insight might be a challenge, actually. Even if varieties are hard enough to withstand the different climatic conditions, they might show some disadvantages. For example, insufficient pollination for this in this case. Various factors have to be counted during this introduction of plants. Torsten gave us a very bright insight of introduction of Russian and Romanian varieties, which which well respond to grafting. Though the weight of fruits does not reach, to my mind, the number of Siberian varieties in their native region, indicated by Yuri. There is still a challenge to deal with, actually. And there was a very interesting note about the correlation between the fruit fly attacks and the firmness or thickness of the fruit skin. I hope we will continue to discuss this issue in our meeting in November. Professor Wen shared an extremely valuable information about the sea button breeding history in China, leading us through all 3 stages of the breeding program. I suppose that was the most comprehensive overview presented so far of what has been done about the sea buckthorn in China. Actually, the leading sea buckthorn country in the world, volume-wise. Nikos, thank you a lot for introducing us with the challenges of sea buckthorn introduction in Greece. It is a fantastic advantage of Lisavenko varieties to compress the period of the growth in 4 months gap. That is really fantastic, what we saw in your presentation. It seems that Greece has a great opportunity to become one of the main source of high-value sea buckthorn fruits in Europe. Thanks to Dr. Singh, we got unique insight in the vegetative growth performance of Russian varieties, as well as their yield in high altitudes of Himalaya mountains. It shows again the great importance of Russian varieties worldwide and their generally good abilities for acclimatization in different conditions. Dr. Brigitte Schramm told us about the extremely important issue within the plant introduction, the conservation and sustainable use of plant genetic resources. This is a really well-organized system and of keeping sustainable collection of varieties and use them in the future for breeding purposes. I think all countries presented, all representatives of our meeting should learn for this great presentation, maybe and start implementing this system also in their country. So I wish to thank all the scientists who shared their knowledge and experience. Your mobilization has generated extensive exchanges of views and important data in complement to all the other participants coming from over 16 countries. I compliment them. Your presence demonstrates that sea buckthorn has become very important in many countries around the world. In fact, the original scale, as Yuri told us before, the original scale of this series of webinars was just for Europe and Russia, but we were joined by the rest of the world, which both delights us and places a great deal of responsibility on us to continue to lead this educational useful event. And it's a highly useful channel of worldwide communication among sea buckthorn scientists and businessmen. I want to thank you for your work, to congratulate you on your mobilization, to assure you that we will do everything possible to avoid disappointing you in the next meeting in November, and to encourage you to continue your efforts. Finally, I would like to thank our own staff for organizing this event and ensuring that it ran so smoothly, more or less. Thanks a lot, Thomas, Yuri, Axel, and Sylvia. We would not be here without your selfless efforts, actually. Well, with this, I would like to close my remarks and officially announce the end of the workshop, wishing the future prosperity for all participants. It has been a pleasure for me being with all of you today. Thank you. Maybe Thomas or Yuri, you have something to say more.
Yes, only
Thank
Andres, I really like to underline what you told. Much work has been done by Silvia. She is this week on holiday. Okay, I will tell her that we did well what she prepared, much better than we. Yes, great work what she did. And I did statistics, Yuri. In total, we have had 42 colleagues here in the meeting. Some went already back to other jobs, but 42 is a total number.
Okay, from my side, thank you very much to all of you to join us in this meeting, and I declare this meeting adjourned, and let's give all of us big hands. Our colleagues, see you